All right, everyone, going to be jumping into the top NBA prop bets today. It's a massive slate. Let's go ahead and jump into it. And so, as you guys know, I typically like to start out the videos with some big edges if we are currently getting them. And so I do want to start off with Tyler Hero right now because that is one of the edges that we are currently getting on this slate. So specifically, the fact that we could be potentially middling this. Now, we are going to see that the PrizePicks line here for Tyler Hero for his fantasy score is clearly wrong. Okay, because the average sportsbook line would have him at 34, the projection data at 34, and also Underdog would have it at 34.5. Now, personally, I actually had it written down that I probably would want to be targeting his over fantasy score. And so I almost view this as a better bet on Underdog, but the fact that it's this big of a prop line difference, I think it makes actually for a great middle opportunity here. And so Jimmy Butler's going to be out in this game. So that's part of the reason as to why I wanted to bet the under or the over originally. And we have a direct example of what he did in the last game with Jimmy Butler off the court. I kind of mentioned last night, guys, with our NBA bet of Dort for his under fantasy score. Dort got 5 free points basically from Jimmy Butler coming up with the injury that led to a Dort steal and then dunk. That was annoying. But Tyler Hero ended up having a very good game, which is what you would expect to happen. Tyler Hero sees plus 3 more points to about 27 points per 36 with Jimmy Butler off the court. Now, he does get a tough matchup against Orlando, a matchup that he did struggle in earlier on this season. Now, that was the first game of the year. I don't think we need to draw any conclusions really from that. But if you look at his fantasy score, guys, he does average around 42 fantasy points per 36. If you were to adjust it for the matchup with Orlando, assuming he still gets 36 minutes, it would be basically right around this line. So that's where I'm not going to disagree with Vegas. I'm going to agree with them, but I do think it makes for a good middle between the two sites. And then I will mention the Duncan Robinson rebounds prop bet here. Okay, this is one where, again, with Jimmy Butler off the court, per 36 wise, he does average the over. Now, we don't know if we can exactly give Duncan Robinson 36 minutes, but we are seeing that it's either this bet or his under fantasy score that we want to be betting on. I'm kind of indifferent, but again, given the matchup with Orlando, I kind of see why they are dumping him down a little bit for his fantasy score. So those are two bets that I don't mind. I actually really like betting on Jaime Jaquez if we were to get it, guys. He actually sees 8 more fantasy points per 36. Jaquez does, and about 5.3 more points per 36. I just doubt we're going to get those bets because they know that'd be a pretty good edge in general. And now from there, we are getting another kind of good fantasy scoreline in this game. It's going to be looking at Silva to get over his fantasy score of 18.5. Now, this was a bet that was available earlier on in the day, guys, at about 17.5. That's a bet that I already got action to because it was popping up on the 9-to-5 cheat sheet. But it's still not a bad bet regardless. It's just dropped down a little bit. It was like a 55% likelihood to hit, one of the best bets on the board. It still is a great bet here, especially in this game. Maybe if you're trying to stack it a little bit. We see that the average sportsbook line would have it closer to 20. And he draws a decent matchup here. For Miami purposes, he like for this game, he draws one of the better matchups. But I want to point out the minutes that he's gotten the last couple of games because that's really going to be the reason as to why he does end up getting this over. I don't know if we can necessarily trust those minutes to be there, but if he does end up getting, even like 25 minutes, he should be able to get this over. At least it should be a close one. So I don't mind the idea of using that one there as well. And then from there, guys, strangely enough, we are getting KCP. And I say that because normally KCP is a candidate for like the under fantasy scores. We see that happen consistently there with him. So I'm a little bit surprised that he's popping up here for the over fantasy score. But again, I don't mind the idea of pairing that up with Silva, and actually even Wendell Carter, we are seeing a decent over fantasy score there as well. So some decent bets there. I don't know if we need to go crazy with those though. Now, guys, I want to go ahead and jump on into the next game here. We're going to be looking at Memphis versus Atlanta. So Memphis is going to draw some good matchups here. I actually don't mind the idea of getting on Desmond Bane, potentially for his over rebounds of 4.5. We are going to see it's going to be a reduced payout. But to me, guys, this is a bet that probably should be a little bit higher than it is. Okay, so he averages 8.6 rebounds per 36 with Desmond Bane, with Ja Morant off the court, who again is out tonight. And he is already someone that typically does see around 4.5 rebounds on average. So that is already a decent bet for us on the board. So that's one that I don't mind. And actually, I was looking it over. This fantasy scoreline does seem to be a little bit too low. The bet here in this game is that this game stays close. And I could see that happening. Trae Young is currently questionable. If he were to sit, that would help out a little bit more there as well. I actually don't mind the idea of being on Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. He's another one for like his fantasy score potentially we could be looking at. 39 is actually a little bit too low for him. He gets a great matchup there against Atlanta. He per 36 wise, he does average more than that, but that is something that like it's like 50. But The issue with him is he's something that typically is not getting the minutes, whether games are blowouts. They end up blowing Golden State out in their last game. But he's also someone that gets into foul trouble as well. So he is someone that, yeah, if all things are great and like align, great, best matchup for him against Atlanta. If he does not get into foul trouble, he should get this over fantasy score. But that is something I'm worried about. So the only reason I would get to him is like looking at him in the game stack. Okay, he sees actually 13% bump in usage with Ja Morant off the court. And so if you are maybe looking to do a little bit of a stack with Memphis where you're betting on that offense to be productive, I don't mind that approach, but that's what I'd be looking at there. And then I was hoping that we'd be getting some Senti Aldama prop bets here, but we're not. He is someone that does benefit a decent amount with Ja Morant off the court. Actually averages 5.4 more points per 36, and he also averages 2.4 more assists per 36. So I was hoping that we would get some prop bets for him, but we are not. Then from there, another player I want to call out here as well on Underdog. Currently, you can get him at 23.5 for his over PRA. That's not a bad bet. I don't mind his over points as well on Underdog. You can get his over points at 16.5 points. Now, it's a little bit of a reduced payout, so it's not popping up here, but those are all pretty solid bets. He's going to be someone that benefits because Keontae George is currently out in this game here as well. So Colin Sexton is someone that gets a bump. Isaiah Collier is someone that's projected to start. And so Jordan Clarkson is still expected to come off the bench here. All three of those guards actually benefit a decent amount with Keontae George. That's kind of been the problem with Utah is that they go a little bit deep with that. And so Colin Sexton, over 16.5 points. That's about +3 more points per 36 to about 24 points per 36. And he is someone, if we look at it, probably not going to get 36 minutes, probably going to see about the same, but still should get around 27. And so regardless, I do like that one there a decent amount. So from there, let's go ahead and jump on into John Collins. So John Collins is someone with his over points here of 17.5. Again, another traditional sportsbook bet that I like. He's only projected to get 31 minutes. The issue with Utah is that they can get blown out occasionally. But he is someone that actually sees a 7.4% bump in usage and about 3.3 more points per 36 to about 24 points. And so the minutes might be a little bit low. Honestly, that's kind of my general feel, is that the minutes are all a little bit too low. But we look at all the data points that we have coming in here for John Collins, they all point to him being able to get the over there. And then, yeah, guys, I don't know if we are going to get bets for these two, but I do want to call out Jordan Clarkson gets around a 3.4 more bump in his assist per 36 with Keontae George off the court. That he just sees a little bump in his usage there. Now, will he get 36 minutes? Probably not. Probably stay closer to around 30 minutes, which is what he has been getting. But I did want to call that out. That could be a good spot for us. Then I did mention Isaiah Collier could end up starting in this game. Not exactly sure how many minutes he would end up getting here. But again, probably 20, 25. So he would get a bump in his minutes there, thus his production. He is someone that sees about 1.8 assists more per 36. And so his assist line that we would be getting would probably be a little bit too low is what that would be telling us there as well. And then let's go ahead and jump on into the Pelicans, guys. So I still think we are getting an edge here with CJ McCollum for his over points. He's had 2 poor nights shooting in a row, especially from 3-ball range where he's went like 1 for 5 and both of the last nights, actually 6 for 17, 6 for 18. So not exactly shooting the basketball all too well. That's just one of those things that I expect to get corrected per 36. With all those players out the court, the Pelicans are still very thin. Ingram's out, Zion's out, Hawkins out, Alvarado's out. He averages 24 points per 36. So I want to be betting the over there still. If it misses, he has another poor night shooting, then I might start questioning it. But so far, I think we're 50-50 on him. And again, the last 2 nights, just poor night shooting. Close night in his last game, missed that. Just need one more shot. And then I want to get into this Bucks game here, guys, because I think we are getting some pretty big edges. So Malcolm Brogdon is expected to be back in this game. I view him as Washington's best player, and the data kind of mimics that because a lot of players actually see decreases in their production. So Jordan Poole is someone that sees 5.6 less points per 36 with Malcolm Brogdon on the court. So he only averages about 19.3 points. And that's per 36, so that's a pretty big sample size. Now, will Malcolm Brogdon be playing a lot? I don't know, but the Bucks should be able to blow out Washington in this game. And so I don't mind that under. And then with Brogdon expected back, I actually don't mind the idea of betting on Bilal Coulibaly to get under his points here as well. He actually sees 8 less points per 36 with Malcolm Brogdon on the court. And again, like Brogdon's probably not going to play at that many minutes in this game coming back from an injury, but still, Coulibaly averages only about 6.5 points per 36. And so that's why he had been someone that I was telling you guys to bet on while Malcolm Brogdon had been out and he had been crushing. And so it's no shock that lately he has been struggling. So I'm okay with that under. then getting into it. So yesterday, I liked the idea of betting on Taurean Prince for over 6.5 points, assuming that Damian Lillard would sit. I kind of expect that in tonight's game as well against Washington. Now, he is currently questionable. It is the back end of a back-to-back. Typically speaking, a player that's questionable like that sat out on one of the ends of the back-to-back, they're typically more likely to have the opposite outcome. So the fact that he sat out on the front end, it could be more likely that he plays in this game. But again, Washington, kind of an easier matchup. He might not end up playing. And so we could get an edge by betting on Taurean Prince over 6.5 points. And then same thing with Brook Lopez. Again, Brook Lopez, in his last game, it was at 11.5 points. He gets a better matchup tonight. Okay, not going against Cleveland. So last night, he only needed one more basket, but against Washington, I kind of expect him to be able to get this over. So 12.5 points, I don't hate. And again, that's hoping that Lillard does end up sitting here. Okay, and I was actually looking for any bets that we could get on Giannis. I think he's going to get a double-double. Look at how high his fantasy score is here, guys. That's insane, 62. And so I don't know. I'm just not betting on that, but I did think that was worth calling out. But for what's worth, I was wanting to get some potential J-Val props. We're not getting those. I could see betting on Alex Sarr to get over 11.5 points, but not exactly when I need to go out of my way to target there. All right, guys, so we're going to be jumping on into the next game, and I want to talk about PJ Washington. So Luka Doncic is going to be out in tonight's game, and this to me is probably the biggest edge that we are currently getting. Like, first and foremost, PJ Washington's been playing pretty well, but with Luka off the court, PJ Washington sees a big bump in his usage in general. He sees a bump in his points, so his points go up by 6. So he averages about 17.3 points per 36 with him off the court. We can see right now his line is at 13.5. Projecting at 34 minutes, he could end up getting more than that. To me, this is a pretty nice edge. I really like this bet here. I don't really get it, honestly. I don't get why it's so low. Kyrie, some of that benefits as well, but his line seems to be correct. Kyrie averages about 27 points per 36. His line is at 24.5, which is fine, but if you want to go in on that, you could. I didn't feel the need to exactly get there. Let's talk about Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. All right, guys, so I don't mind the idea of getting on Kevin Durant for over his points as well, 28.5. Now, that is a high point total, but we are looking at Devin Booker to be out tonight. And we have Kevin Durant projected to get 37 minutes. His per 36 production with Bradley Beal with Devin Booker off the court is 32.8 points per 36. So about 8 more points per 36 as well. And so that's a very solid bet to me. I like that bet a lot, but I also don't mind pairing it up with Bradley Beal as well, who has seen his minutes increase lately as well. And his per 36 production, he might not get 36 minutes. Be careful with that, but it's 23 points per 36. So about plus 5.7 points. Project to get 34. So, pretty good swap there. And so I like those bets there as well. We have a lot of good traditional sportsbook bets, which are kind of the ones I just mentioned. Now let's go ahead and jump into some more fantasy score prop bets that are popping up as well. And so looking at it, guys, we got Missy for under his fantasy score. I still it's interesting. I could see betting on him to get a double-double, but I could also see betting on his under fantasy score here. That's something I recommended on the Pelicans last game, which did end up working out. Obviously, going to be a tight sweat there, but I don't hate that. We got Porzingis for under his fantasy score, OG for under his fantasy score. Those are all good bets, and that's going to be the theme here. We got a lot of decent bets here. I don't mind the idea of stacking that Magic Orlando game because we are seemingly getting some good edges there. So with that, guys, I'm going to show you the traditional sportsbook bets here using Underdog. There's a bunch. I like a bunch. I like a lot of stacking opportunities. I'm going to show you 2 slips on there. You guys can pick and choose which bets you want there. And then I'll be showing you guys the prize picks bet of the day as well. But first, guys, let's go ahead and just remind you guys of the promo code that's currently going on the website. Use the promo code Keep Cashing. You get 20% off your first 9 to 5 month membership. Take advantage of that, guys. You guys will get access to all the tools that you saw in this video, the prize picks and Underdog cheat sheets, as well as all the various sports that are included inside of that cheat sheet, like NBA, for example. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into the bet of the day. All right, guys, so again, we're going to be starting out with Underdog here. These are going to be the traditional sportsbook bets, so not exactly a slip that you'd be using on Underdog. For me, it's just easier to show you guys all my favorite traditional sportsbook bets on Underdog. And so looking at it, I kind of mentioned these. I like the idea of stacking, though, some of these. Like we got Brook stacked with Taurean Prince. We got Jordan Poole stacked with Bilal Coulibaly. And in the game stack, I actually don't mind those ones as well. Same thing with KD and Bradley Beal. Fine with that. And then again, I just really like the lines that we're getting on PJ Washington. Don't really get it. Not too worried about that matchup there with the Clippers. Then I realized that another spot that I forgot to mention is the fact that last night I thought Joel Embiid would probably sit out on the front end of back-to-back. That did not happen. He actually ended up sitting on the back end of back-to-back. Strange, because now they're going against Cleveland. I thought they might have wanted to try to win this game, but no, they're like, oh, we're going to lose. Whatever. We won't let him play in that game. It's weird how the NBA works like that. Like, I don't know. I would say you have a pretty good shot to win last night's game without him, which they ended up doing, but he played. And I would have thought you would want him to play in this game so you would have a better chance of winning. No, whatever. Weird. Anyways, because he's out, I don't mind the idea of getting on Paul George for over 4.5 assists. He averages like 3 more assists than this per 36 with Joel Embiid off the court. He actually got this over last night. And then Kelly Oubre does average this about 18 points per 36 with Embiid off the court. Maxey as well, about 27 points per 36. So those lines are seemingly too low, especially, again, if we are pairing these two together, I'm fine with that. And then the rest of these ones I already mentioned as to why I like them. Now, guys, I do want to remind you all, this is an NBA video, so I'm going to give you guys the NBA bet slip. That being said, the best bets that we have are these top 3 ones right now, which are college basketball and college football. Okay, so just so we're clear there. And so this is what we're looking at. I'm just going off of what the board is telling us, guys, right now. These are the top prop bets. KCP does only have about a 53.6% likelihood to hit. All the other ones have a 54% likelihood to hit or better. I'm fine using this one because we're already kind of betting on Silva for his over fantasy score, so we're kind of pairing those two together. But if you guys want to sub in one of those other bets that I literally just showed you guys, instead of KCP, obviously better percent likelihood, over 54% likelihood to hit, we would want to be doing that as well. That's fine. I do want to just reiterate as well, like, this is a massive day. We have so many sports going on: NFL, college football playoffs, a bunch of college basketball games, and obviously a massive slate in the NBA. So outliers like this line here for Tyler Hero, where we could hit a middle. Again, his line on Underdog is like 34.5. That shouldn't be happening in NBA. Like, it barely does. It happens in college basketball enough, but in the NBA, it doesn't happen that much where we're getting those big differences. And it's a pretty massive slate. So just be double checking the cheat sheet before you guys place your bet, just to make sure that these bets are all still good bets, or if there are middling opportunities like this one, because again, that shouldn't be happening. It's all about making the best decisions possible each and every slate, and that's what the cheat sheet is designed to do. So check that out, guys. $10 a month. Use the promo code Keep Cashing You for 20% off for the first month. But that's all, guys. Give a like, give a subscribe. That does help with the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your bets, and as always, let's keep cashing.